Hello, everybody. Okay, today we are learning about Guy Dubord. He's French. I guess that's the way you pronounce Guy, as we would say it, Guy Dubord. It's going to be a couple other French words that I probably will not pronounce correctly. Okay, what is happening in this picture? What do we see? A bunch of people wearing glasses. I don't know if this is like a 3D movie or some kind of like special screen they're watching. There's groups of them. They're all staring at the same thing. Something to keep in mind. Okay, Guy Debord. He was a philosopher, artist, Marxist intellectual, filmmaker, social critic, founding member of the Situationist International. He's famous for writing Society of the Spectacle that we're going to go over. And his writings were very popular during the time period in France. There was this series of, I think it lasted for 7 months, uh, sort of like protests among students that united with uh, some unions and caused the economy of France to stop. And it was short, caused a massive disruption, massive unity of organized unions and workers groups, and they did huge strikes, wildcat strikes, illegal strikes, and caused the economy to come to a standstill. So it's known as May 68 in France. And Guy Debord's writings were like super popular. Some of his quotes were like spray painted on the walls, graffitied. Other famous kind of art groups, I think Dada art, other like socially active, disruptive artists, you know, were all active during this time. Just to give you a brief kind of context. Okay, main themes: degradation of human life. Authentic social life has been replaced with representation. So uh, these are complicated ideas that rely on Marxism as a foundation. That's why I wanted us to go over Marxism first. So you'll see sort of like some assumptions made by Marx and then further sort of additions to his theory. Um, so Marx talked a lot about commodity fetishism. So that's sort of like worship of a product. Um, you can see this easily like Air Jordans, shoes, Mercedes Benz cars. And this was really powerful during the Industrial Revolution beginning uh, stages, right? Um, People worship commodities, and we come to like more modern life, and capitalism is all throughout our society. And it's not just relationships between commodities, it's everything all the time. So we're going to try to unpack that. This is an inverted stage in society where relationship to commodities replaces the relationship between people. The spectacle hides the past and implodes the future, leaving us with an eternal now moment. Hiding the possibility of revolutionary change. That's an important idea we're going to keep hitting on. It's a Marxist text. So here's some main ideas. Capital is accumulated to a point that it becomes image. What does this mean? So we have in Marx's text, Das Kapital, or just capital, the idea of surplus value. So capital is a machine used for absorbing human energy, attention, labor. This is sort of like in class, I showed you guys this comic based on capital. You have workers working for an owner, and the owner sort of tricks the workers, or does this like sleight of hand where he says, I take the risk, you work for a wage. Basically, work for a fraction of the profits. And I'm going to trick you in justifying that relationship because most owners come from generational wealth. Not all, but a lot of people that are already middle upper class come from a social group and families with generational wealth. We see this even in Mills, which he uses some ideas of Marxism, but talks about, remember, the power elite, these high schools, boarding schools, and you know Ivy League universities that all these sort of elites in society go to, and it's military, government, and business world. It's more complex. With Marx, it's just business owners versus workers, right? And there's complexities within there. There's different types like bourgeoisie, petite bourgeoisie, proletariat, lumpen proletariat. It's more complex than just two groups, right? But we want to remember that this idea of surplus value, an owner tricks workers into giving up their energy and time for a wage, and the owner keeps the profits. And it goes beyond money. It becomes a part of dominating and alienation and estrangement. Your personality changes, your life changes, and revolves around this wage labor. So that idea of surplus value and capital as a machine for absorbing human energy, attention, labor. So spectacle is an advanced form of this, a form of late capital that enables capitalists to absorb human energy, attention, labor, ensuring surplus energies generated by human beings and production facilities are used to repress class consciousness and revolution and replace it with politically impotent action. So, generative, again, spectacle is a form of late capital that enables capitalists to absorb human energy, attention, labor, ensuring surplus energies generated by human beings and production facilities are used to repress class consciousness and revolution and replace with politically impotent action. So we can sort of, if you guys like science fiction movie, that scene in the Matrix where it's just people in little pods, like jacked into like a virtual reality, and the robots are absorbing all of their emotions and like the power and body heat of the human body and energy system. It's sort of like that. We'll see in the Matrix, it would be, people think that they're watching something and experiencing something real, and reality, their energy is just being harvested, right? I got to put a picture of that scene in the Matrix. I'll show you guys right now. Kind of like you can see, I think. Matrix. So we see, you know, this is a like perfect description. We see towers of people in these little pods, and it's their emotions, the actual heat of their body, right, that the robots use and absorb. And you have Neo. He wakes up and sees this, right? You could argue that this is sort of like class consciousness. You're questioning the reality, like we saw in They Live, Eat, Reproduce, Sleep, Work. You're seeing the spectacle, the process of the spectacle. You're seeing how people are being used, for their hours of their time converted into small wages over their whole life. Retire, depression, death. This is the Matrix is a depressing way to look at reality, but it's uncomfortable. And I just want to show you guys a different way, maybe to help you understand what Dubord is talking about and Marx is talking about. Okay. So we talked about alienation. Remember Marx, self, nature, others, and species being, right? A simple way is you spend time working and inflation happens, your wage goes down, the commodities, things you buy go up, you spend more time, you spend your weekends forgetting that you don't like work, you start to become a different person while you're working, and you become separated from yourself. The working self becomes separate. And Guy Dubord talks about double alienation. So not only are people exploited during the hours that they work, but in their leisure time, when they consume things, they become part of this spectacle, right? Separated workers never unite, but become reunited as spectators. Modern capital becomes a force beyond commodity and is used to perpetuate capitalist systems by turning workers or people into weak, passive, impotent aggregations of spectators. You become united in consumption and spectatorship. Look at the picture of these people. Are these powerful, uh, active, uh, exciting people, or do they just look like zombies, right? Or robots? Everybody's doing the same thing. People look similar. They're wearing the same glasses, right? They're passive observers, constantly distracted. So, main ideas, but this is kind of stated in another way. Uh, the Society of Spectacle is a critique of contemporary consumer culture, commodity fetishism, dealing with issues such as class alienation, cultural homogenization, and mass media. When Dubord says, all that was once directly lived has become mere representation, he's referring to the central importance of the image. This has supplanted genuine human interaction. The spectacle is not a collection of images, it is a social relationship between people that is mediated by images. In a consumer society, social life is not about living, but about having. And a spectacle uses the image to convey to people what they need and must have. So, not genuine relationships. Uh, it's more about relationships with things and buying things. Dubord draws an equivalence between the role of mass media and marketing in the present and the role of religions in the past. The spread of commodity images by mass media produces waves of enthusiasm for a given product, resulting in moments of fervent exultation similar to the ecstasies of convulsions and miracles of old religious fetishism. So you see people waiting in line for the new iPhone, um, going nuts and like fainting and passing out when they're seeing celebrities or musicians, right? Similar to the behavior of like religious fanatics. Chapter 8, negation and consumption within culture. Dubord includes a critical analysis of the works of American sociologists. He mentions some American sociologists who have described the general project of developed capitalism, which aims to recapture the fragmented worker as personality well integrated into the group. We'll go over this part kind of fast, sorry. Because of the notion of spectacle involves real life being replaced with representations, his book is also concerned authenticity versus inauthenticity, a theme which is revisited again. Modern society forces culture to constantly reappropriate or reinvent itself, copying and repackaging old ideas. We can see like a never-ending cycle of Disney movies, right? Disney movies already steal stories from other cultures, right? And they just constantly repackage them. Like right now, we're in this wave of live action versions of films we've all seen in cartoons. Maybe the third version is going to be hand-drawn animation again, and there's just going to be this endless cycle where there will always be the same story in every generation, but that Disney profits from, right? Okay, here's a interesting picture. This guy's website, forget his name, looking at his name, trying to find his name right now. Dr. Heap, Stephen Heap. Uh, He made this image. So we see spectacles everywhere, broadcast 24/7 on every screen, upper left corner. On the other side is money between the lines of every reference. It's in relationships between people. You're already familiar with some of its forms, different kinds of media, right? Spectacle interprets the world for the spectators. It reduces reality to fragments and interprets the world into simple narratives that can be bought and sold. Spectators only witness an appearance of reality. Spectacle tells people what to desire and aspire for. Value is visibility. What it appears is good, and what good appears. To the spectators, the more something is visible, the more it's talked about, the realer it is, the more valuable it is. We see genuine living transformed into the appearance of living. Being is less valuable than appearing to have. Humans are aliens in their own world. The spectacle engineers the lives of human beings to feed on their attention. As the spectator spectates, they lose awareness of their own life and needs. The spectacle conceals the genuine relationships between people. Human health and relationships degrade in the lonely crowd. Okay, so going beyond just theoretical discussion, uh, the Situationists, that group of sort of politically active artists that Guy Dubord helped found, there's some pretty cool techniques and tools that anybody can use to sort of like disrupt daily life. So there's this practice of, it's pronounced in French, derive. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Sorry. It means to drift. So you basically just wander around a city or neighborhood or someplace where you are. You don't have any sort of end goal in mind. You just wander and see what you're naturally attracted to. So in cities, there's obviously going to be, boundaries, roads, sidewalks, entry and exit points. See how those draw you in or repel you. You know, you we use and go about our daily lives traveling to the same places, like uh, rabbits and mice do the same. Uh, they have a safe path. They take it all the time, like until they die. So this is a way to disrupt that normalcy, to disrupt the spectacle. You wander without a goal, right? Derive is a technique or locomotion without a goal. So this would be really cool. I do this all the time when I'm traveling. I went to a while ago New York, and the person who I went with really wanted to just go see the Statue of Liberty and take all these tours, and just to me that was a complete waste of time. My favorite thing that I did was I just bought a map of the subway system at a gas station and took random trains. Did not even look at what trains I was going to. And then I decided maybe after 30 minutes or so of riding trains, I would stop, walk around the city, and then find my way back home. So the coolest part about wandering was probably going to this Catholic church, and there was a ceremony going on. It was like Feast of the Saints holiday. I forget what saint, or if it was just called Feast of the Saints. There's this cool ritual going on. I just walked in. It was a gorgeous church, and yeah, that was awesome. Just to go randomly on these trains, go and like land in the middle of this like ritual, and then just wander back home. People on the train, there was a lot of crazy people. I talked to some homeless people, played a song on this guy's guitar, uh, a lot of random things. But it's so cool to disrupt the norm, to disrupt your normal routine, you know. Talking about double alienation, right? Dubord says we get alienated at work and on vacation. And think about how much your vacations just mimic your work. You're on a schedule, you buy things. So much about vacation is souvenirs, right? These like weird tours that no locals go on. This landmark, that's totally hyped up. You go there, and every time it's never as good as people talk about. It's never as impressive. It's just hyped up. You say you saw this thing that's popular, and the entire time you're at a schedule, like you're working, you're stressed, and it costs a lot of money. You spent a year working for these 2 weeks. You can see the double alienation happening on vacation. Um, so here's a picture. Situationists sort of like did wanderings and made cool artwork out of maps. You have people talking about ideas, influences on their like mixing location with uh, their random walks, random ideas, right? So this sort of like throws a wrench in the spectacle. You do something random, reflect, and then you're kind of reorientated. You're like you step out for a second, and it's like a minor disruption. It's not gonna like permanently change your life, but it's something like meditating or praying or doing a ritual. You disrupt the norm, you disrupt the everyday, you disrupt the schedule, and it gives you a little bit of realization and change and sort of like controlled chaos, right? To disrupt the spectacle. Okay, I'm gonna post a chapter of Society of the Spectacle and an essay on derive, uh, wandering, that technique we just talked about, this picture's about. And I'm gonna post for you guys online people a discussion and a optional meeting on Friday. So I know that we haven't had a lot of contact on the online class. I just took a lot of online classes, and my favorite thing about them was that I could just do my work by myself and turn it in. And a lot of the interactions, it sucks, but like in discussions, I hate it when I would post something or respond, and people are obviously not reading and not having a real conversation. It's forced, and I know not everybody does that. I know not there's some people that are inspired by it, but for me, while I was hesitant to put a discussion, this is like my first full length online class I've done. I just wanted to make it simple, just so you could do your work. But anyway, this is for more online people. You'll see what I post. But I hope this is interesting, and see you on Zoom. I'm gonna post, I think, Friday, maybe at like 7 p.m. So hopefully some of you can make it. Anyway, that's all for today.